our era, which is, of course, the YouTube video. But it shows what it looks like when the reality of a closed glass door begins. That would be childish, right? None of the highbrow discourses are. Then again, we are visual learners. All of us, at all times, are working with a view of reality. And the stakes about reality lead to brutal encounters with it. Because sooner or later, reality wins. Illusions are mistakes about reality. And they are a disastrous basis for acting, a disastrous basis for choosing. On the other hand, if one has knowledge about reality, for instance, the knowledge that the sliding glass door is closed, then one can pursue successful and confident interactions with reality. One can slow down and slide open the glass door. The problem is most human beings, most of the time, don't even recognize that they have a view of reality. For example, until his face actually meets the glass, the man who runs into the glass door is utterly unconscious of the fact that he is carrying around in his head any view of the glass door at all. But that view, that unexamined view, which is in his head, is ultimately what drives him into the glass. Likewise, how human beings engage life, act, choose, is inevitably based upon a set of views of reality, many, if not most, of which are largely unexamined. A critical aspect of our understanding of reality, and therefore of our capacity to make choices, flows from what we might call moral knowledge. As Dallas Willard has helpfully explained, moral knowledge can be broken down into four ancient questions. One, what is real? In other words, what in life can actually be depended upon in the ultimate analysis? What is the solid rock reality of life that will hold up when you act in accordance with it? And what, by contrast, is illusion or delusion and ultimately empty and disappointing and will not hold up? First question, what about life is real? Secondly, what is the good life? What is the life worth chasing after and aspiring to? Secondly, who is a good person? Who is worthy of moral approval? And fourth, how do you become a good person? What is real? What is the good life? Who is a good person, and how do you become one? In many ways, these are the most fundamental questions of life. In fact, all human beings do carry around working answers to these questions so they can actually make it through their days, their months, and their years. But most of the working answers are largely unexamined, borrowed without much thinking, and chronically inconsistent and incomplete. For example, what is real? Is it only the physical, chemical dimensions of life that are real? Or is love real? Or is justice real? What really is real? What is the good life? On any given day, is it the life that we aspire to? Is it the sensual enjoyment of the present moment? Is it the acclaim of society? Is it scale of enterprise? Is it love and service to others? Is it safety and certainty? Is it heroic adrenaline? Is it achievement? Is it beauty? What is the good life? And who is a good person? This is a tough question because the answer to it is chronically in conflict with the conception of a good life. Because what if being a good person doesn't allow you to get the good life? Hard. This is the difference between what is desired on the resume and that which is desired in a eulogy. How does one become also then, if you have an idea of what the good person is, how do you become such a person? There's endless self-help bloviating, but no real authoritative, confident answers much of the time. To not have a way to seek and find confident answers to these questions is a great and profound problem. At Dartmouth, for example, after what one hears of a year of controversy and discord, as the university is seeking to chart a path to a new community that truly lives up to the highest aspiration of a good community, such a destination seems difficult to achieve if there aren't coherent answers to the question of what is a good community? And how do we become the kind of people who can make a good community? Which points to the larger problem we're asserting in my thesis, namely, that for contemporary universities to help students and citizens make good choices in the struggle for justice in the world, the search for moral knowledge that might provide answers to these four questions must be recovered. And must be recovered by the contemporary university because such a search has been effectively abandoned. Why do I say it's been abandoned? So I don't think it's too difficult to observe that the prevailing intellectual fashion asserts, by sheer vigor of assertion, that these fields of inquiry about reality, the good life, the good person, and how to become one, are not proper fields of knowledge. In this view, these moral questions may be fields that people can have feelings about. They can speculate about them, they can have personal opinions, personal beliefs, or personal professions about these things, but they're not fields in which there are authoritative answers to be found. Answers that can be taught, that can direct action, that can establish duties, or can suggest policies. To understand what has happened, we need to clarify what we mean by knowledge, and here again, Dallas Willard, who died this last year, but I think will be one of the great epistemologists of the last half century. And I think his distinctions have been very helpful to me. To have knowledge, that is to know something, is to represent, listen carefully if you can. To have knowledge is to represent something as it actually is on the basis of evidence appropriate to the subject matter. To know something is to represent it, to speak of it, to deal with it, to interact with it as it actually is on the basis of evidence appropriate to the thing itself. So an example of our sliding glass door. To really know what the condition or the aspect of the sliding glass door is to represent it, to think of it, speak of it, and treat it as it actually is, that is, closed. And to do so on the basis of evidence appropriate to knowing a sliding glass door, which is generally by being close enough to apply the physical sensation of touch to determine if it is closed. In this sense, you know, you have knowledge that the sliding glass door is closed. This is different than having a belief about the door. Belief is an understanding that is manifested by the willingness to act as if it were true. You believe something and you act as if it is true. Of course, your belief can be wrong, but it is the understanding that leads you to act the way that you do. The man in the video believes the glass door is open. He does not have knowledge of the glass door. He's not thinking of it as it actually is on the basis of evidence that's appropriate for knowing the glass door. He demonstrates why we commonly say that it is best to hold beliefs on the basis of knowledge. Two other ways that we can hold reality are commitment and profession. These two are different than knowledge or belief. Commitment is the willingness to act even when I don't have knowledge or belief. But I feel I must act and do so without knowing what is true or even believing something is true. It's just something I'm committed to act upon. This would be the case if you're walking in the forest and you know you're lost, and you come to a fork in the road and you got to make a decision about one of the paths. You don't know which is the right path. You don't even believe that one is because you don't have a basis for that, but you got to choose, and so you just make a commitment and you go. Or I might, in the instance of the glass door, I might try and run out the glass door, not because I know it's open or believe it's actually open, but because there's a fire. And I just have to hope it's open and must commit to acting as if it's open. This is commitment. And a final way is to hold an understanding of reality. The final way to hold an understanding of reality is profession. That is to profess or declare our understanding of reality. This, of course, can have no connection to reality at all. I can profess anything I like, and people do, without knowledge of it, without belief of it, without acting as if it were true, or without commitment. That is, acting on it simply because I'm committed to doing so. We can profess anything. I make all of these tedious distinctions to clarify the prevailing intellectual fashion of contemporary universities when it comes to moral matters. That is, questions about what is real, what is the good life, what is a good person, and how you become a good person. The prevailing intellectual culture may tolerate personal professions, tolerates us saying what we think about these things. It may tolerate our personal commitments. It may tolerate our personal beliefs about morality, but it will generally not allow the university to treat these questions as matters of knowledge, questions that can yield answers that are true on the basis of evidence appropriate to the subject matter. The only fields that are said to yield answers, generally, yield answers that are true, are fields about which we have actual knowledge, are the sciences, math,